Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to be painting up a Reaper D&D miniature. This is looks like a Mind Flayer. He basically has the tentacles on his face and long robes. And I'm going to use this guy in my Waterdeep Dragon Heist adventure. So, yeah, let me go ahead and prime this guy up, and then we'll be right back. All right, guys, we are doing the Illithid. I had just finished spraying it black, but as you can see, some metal is still shining through. So what I've done is mixed a little bit of black acrylic and water so that I could get it down inside of all the cracks, nooks, and crannies, and manually finish this primer job. So we're just going to add a little black to the entire model. I'm going to brush it. Some people start off by brushing, but I find that the spray primer has a better adherence, like it sticks better to it. And then later when you go and brush primer it, brush it, you're only hitting the cracks and crevices, the areas in between the models, folds of the robe and under the arms where the spray didn't hit. And it's a good combination of the two, the brush and the spray. Yeah, his tentacles really messed everything up. Okay. Might as well hit under here. Okay, that looks really good. All right, when that dries, we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're going to add a little, we got the Illithid here, and we're going to add a little flesh, right? In my opinion, the Illithid's head, body, and everything is a very light flesh. They're from the Underdark, right? So they shouldn't have any dark complexions. That's why I'm kind of confused about the drow, but I would think that they would have... they would be very pale, like they don't have any sun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the little tentacles, paint the little squid-like head with a light flesh. It doesn't look like this guy's wearing any gloves. He might or might not be, but I'm just going to go ahead and paint the hands the same light flesh. Leaving a little black between the robe and the hands to give it a little black lining. Same thing with the fingers and the staff. I'm trying to stay on the flesh and not jump onto the staff. But if I do, I can always touch it up with some wood. Alright, so we got his... Are there any other tentacles I might have missed? Yep, there's one right there. And let's get the back side of this tentacle. That's still black. So, is Zoidberg in the Illithid? I don't know. Alright, so we'll set them off to the side, let that dry, and we'll continue on with them. Alright, now, what I do want to do is put a little bit of flesh wash on the Illithid, just to bring out the details of all the flesh, especially around his head and his tentacles and his eyes. Shows all the cracks and creases. Put it on his hands as well, so his fingers will stand out. And there we go. Now we're going to let that dry. Whoops, I didn't get the back side of that tentacle. I always forget about the back side of that tentacle. All right. So now when that dries, we'll be able to continue on. Continuing on with the Illithid, I've decided to go ahead and make his robes and his cape two variations of purple. So we're going to use purple with a little bit of neon mixed in with it for his robes. And he's got a bag that he's carrying, but that's okay if I paint over it, because I will correct that when I come back and do the leather. Right now we're only kind of worrying about his ropes. I can even get it on his cape and everything. I could really just slap this on if I wanted. I'm just trying to avoid any flesh, really, because that I feel is finished. But there's no need to like over exaggerate. I mean, just jump on the cape just to prove a point. I'm just trying to paint the robes. Here we go. Whoops. Down here. Yeah. And I think the cowl, or whatever that is on the top, I think that should be part of the cape color. Okay, just a little bit on the inside of the cuffs. Not a whole lot. All right, he's coming together too. Okay, so I'm going to set him off to the side, and when he dries, we'll be moving on. Alright guys, we are back with the Illithid. It looks like the purple is dry. What I'm going to do now is, while I have my rucksack tan out, I'm going to paint that on his wood shaft, his staff, his spear, or what. This looks more like a spear, but it's not. It's a magical staff with like a pointy tip, if that makes sense. The tip is not metal. It might be a gem or some kind of magical runes on the end of it. So we're using P3 rucksack tan to give me a good coat of wood. A lot of people will use dark color of woods like walnut or whatever, but I find, and that's fine, that's perfectly fine, but when you see wood in wood comes in a variety of different colors, like a red brown, a dark brown, a light brown, so you really just can't go wrong. But what I do is I like putting the light tones on because it makes a bigger contrast. I use red browns usually on rifle butts, or like dark browns on maybe shields or something like that. All right, when that dries and we're ready to go to the next step, we'll be right back. Robe is dry. I'm going to go back over the cape and cowl with a maroon color, right? It's going to be another type of purple, but I wanted it to cover the whole cape and cowl. All right, so let's go with some maroon on his backage. See, that's kind of a reddish purple. We're going to paint this in long strokes, allowing it to get down inside the creases of the folds of the fabric. Because we're going to come back and with the same color, we're going to highlight the raised areas. It's okay to get it on the ground. I didn't, but it's okay to get it on the ground because I'm going to be painting the ground. Okay, and his cowl. I think that's what it's called. The collar, I think it's called a cowl. And then the inside of the cape. Now it contrasts a little bit, mainly so that you can tell that the robe is separate from the cape. It's not a same kind of thing. Trying to avoid the wood, trying to avoid the robe. Got to adjust my angle of attack. That's my paintbrush either going this way or this way or this way, depending on your angle of attack. Will help to, get in nooks and crannies and behind things. So be conscious of, which direction or which angle you're holding your brush in. Yep. That's just the base coat. It looks like we're going to have to give that a secondary coat. You can see how the black is really starting to shine through there, right? Now, if you notice, I haven't painted all the way to the edge because there's a little trim there, and that trim, I think I'm going to hit it up with some gold to really make it gaudy. You know what I mean? Oh, whoops. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. We'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, so now on this robe and cloak, there looks to be appears to be some trim along the edges. So what I'm planning on doing is using a very fine tip. This This is a 10-0, but it's also what's called a spotter brush. So the tip is like super fine. And I'm painting the edges gold, as you can see. The trim. But if I miss a little bit of the trim, or if it looks like I'm kind of dry brushing or, you know, only hitting the raised areas, that's kind of what I'm looking to do, because I want the trim, whatever work was done by the modeler, molder, the sculptor, I want his work to kind of shine through, his or her actually. This is a Reaper model, so I don't know. See how I'm kind of letting a little bit of the black stitching shine through. And gold is a fairly powerful color when it comes to attracting your eyes on a model. It draws your eyes in. That's why I like putting a little bit of gold on every model. That way it kind of makes the model pop. Like, even if it's only just a belt buckle. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm looking where the robe goes up underneath the cowl. It still looks like there would be some gold trim under there, so I'm gonna hit it up. And he's wearing kind of a brooch there. I'm gonna go ahead. It looks like it's a skull. Make that a little golden skull brooch. I mean, he's got a pouch I'm gonna have to hit up here in a minute. Okay. Just making sure it's recording, because there's been a few videos recently that I'd think I'm recording, I'd be painting, and then in fact I'm not recording, and then I got to go back and say, well, this is what I did when I painted it. Because I paint these for my personal collection, not because I paint them for the video. You know, so it's not like I don't consider it like a professional video where there would be multiple takes or whatever. I'm not doing that. I'm painting it for my personal use at the gaming table. And I'm giving you an opportunity to see how I do it, so maybe you can learn something. Okay. Yeah, it's really, really, really good. Okay, so the gold's done. Let me go ahead and put that down, let it dry, and we'll be right back with the next color. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint his eyes, but instead of doing like a white eye, I've decided to make a red eye. I got a fairly sharp brush, and what I'm going to do is This is a technique I use with most of my eyes, but what it is you paint, and you can't really see a very good image of this, but what I'm going to do, because it's so small, I'm going to try to just paint the eye itself. If I make a mistake, I go back in and touch up the eyebrow. But luckily, I'm not making a mistake. Now that I said that, probably going to make a mistake. Now I'm not putting a pupil in there or anything, I'm just painting the eyes, the eyeball, that is, red. Cool. Cool. All right, now his spear tip is black. Now I normally paint metallic spear tips or what have you. I usually paint it black and then cover it with a metallic cover. But in this case, this is more like a wizard staff or a magic item. I'm going to paint white. I'm going to leave a little bit of a black between the wood and the white. Give it a natural black lining. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a purple wash on top of the staff head, giving it kind of an eerie look. And once the white dries, we'll be right back. All right, now I'm going to paint the base with splinter blotches. Basically, it's a bright green, so it'll make the rest of the model kind of stand out considerably. I'm using a giant brush, if you haven't noticed. That's so I can get the whole model base quickly and I don't have to like do a million coats. All right, it's that simple. Ba-bam. Okay, we're moving on to the next color. And of course I wasn't recording that, but what I used was Citadel Purple Wash, and I had washed on top of the white that I had painted on the staff, and as you can see it's turned it purple and it's given it kind of a it's gotten down into the cracks so you can see all the highlight and all the details of the staff. It's very nice looking. All right, moving on to the next color. All right, now one of the last things I want to do on this model is make sure that we get the strap and the pouch painted, and I'm going to go ahead and use Hammermill Khaki because it gives me a kind of a light leathery color, not a dark leather or brown or anything like that, but it gives me kind of a light leather, and it will really stand out against the purple robes. So I mean the highlight will be like super there. And Give the pouch lid a little once over. And then do the under pouch. Now I always try to leave like a little gap there so that you can, it gives you that natural artificial, did I just say that? Okay, it gives you the black lining without having to go in and black line. There we go. So we got the pouch, you got that little black line underneath. You can't see the shoulder strap in the back. Okay. Looks like he's got a belt on. You know what? I'm going to paint the belt the same color. There we go. All right, guys. Let me adjust my focus so you can get a clear view of that model. All right, guys. So we've got, you know, the green base, dark purple robes, lighter purple cloak with cowl. We've got kind of a fleshy color with the flesh wash, making him look kind of dirty and nasty. And then I've also got the red eyes. You know, you gotta love that. And then the pouches, the gold lace. You know, doesn't that look good right there, that gold lace? And of course his pouches, and then the purple wash on top of a white undercoat gives you that little, gives you a look like that. Yeah, I'd be proud to put that on the table. All right, guys. Thanks for coming out and checking out this Illithid or Mind Flayer painting. I'll catch you next time.